The whispers began subtly, barely audible over the rustle of dry leaves in the wind that swept through Mireukneung. At first, Gimnoen, the tombkeeper, dismissed them as the creaking of ancient wood or the murmuring of the Haseo-do forest. But tonight, the air was still, heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying pine. He was tending the flickering oil lamp in the main chamber, its dim light casting long, dancing shadows across the stone walls, when he heard it again. A distinct, mournful sigh, seeming to emanate from the rarely visited side chamber, a place said to hold the remains of a forgotten court lady. A shiver, sharp and cold, traced its way down his spine, a sensation far deeper than the evening chill. The shiver lingered, but Gimnoen, keeper of Mireukneung for over 30 years, was a practical man. This sprawling tomb complex, nestled deep in the Haseo-do mountains, was long forgotten by the court in Gagyeong. His duty was simple: maintain the structures, keep the paths clear, and offer perfunctory prayers for the nameless dead within. Locals whispered tales of lingering spirits, of sorrowful sighs carried on the wind, but Gimnoen had always dismissed them as peasant superstitions. His life here was one of quiet solitude, marked by the changing seasons and the rhythmic sound of his own breathing. He knew every crack in the ancient stone, every creak of the wooden doors of his small nearby hanok. Yet, recently, an unsettling stillness had begun to settle over the tomb, a silence that felt less like peace and more like a held breath, as if something were waiting. That unsettling stillness deepened the following morning as Gimnoen inspected the tomb, near the entrance to the side chamber, where he'd heard the sigh. Something caught his eye, a flash of crimson silk, partially buried beneath a thin layer of dust. He knelt, his calloused fingers carefully brushing away the grime to reveal a finely woven sash, its color rich and vibrant despite its age, embroidered with delicate patterns of cranes and clouds. This was no ordinary burial garment. This was the sash of a court lady, preserved unnaturally. As he held the smooth fabric, a sudden, bone-deep cold enveloped him, and in the shadow of the chamber's archway, he glimpsed a towering, indistinct silhouette, impossibly dark against the dim light. It vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving behind only the lingering scent of damp earth and a profound sense of wrongness. The sash, however, remained in his trembling hand, undeniable proof that the tomb's silence was now broken by something very real. The crimson sash lay on a small table in Gimnoen's hanok, a splash of unsettling color in his Spartan home. He couldn't shake the image of the dark silhouette, nor the unnatural cold. That night, sleep was a distant luxury. Every creak of the old hanok felt amplified. Every rustle of the wind sounded like a breath. Then, distinct and deliberate, came the sound of footsteps on the gravel outside his small Neilman gate, crunching slowly, steadily, approaching his maru. He held his breath, straining to hear over the frantic pounding of his own heart. The footsteps stopped directly outside his hanji paper door. A moment of suffocating silence. Then, a single soft rap on the door, a rhythm that was too slow, too heavy, too deliberate to be human. He pressed himself against the wall, eyes wide, knowing whatever was out there, it was not looking for a friendly visit. The next morning, the rap on the door and the footsteps were gone, leaving only the memory of fear and an inexplicable chill that permeated the very wood of his hanok. Gimnoen pale and sleep-deprived, returned to the tomb. He found himself drawn back to the side chamber. Its air was perceptibly colder, and a faint, sweet scent, like dried lotus flowers, now hung heavy. He began to search, his fear overridden by a growing sense of morbid curiosity. Behind a loose stone panel concealed by layers of ancient dust, he found a small, lacquered box. Inside, carefully wrapped in aged silk, was a woman's delicate silver binyo hair ornament and a tiny, rolled scroll of parchment. As his fingers touched the binyo, the temperature plummeted, and a towering, black-robed figure, the Jeoseungsaja, materialized silently at the chamber's entrance, its dark form filling the doorway, utterly still, watching him with an unseen gaze that felt like ice on his skin. It wasn't there to take his soul, he realized with a terrifying clarity, but to ensure he found what was hidden. With the silent, unblinking presence of the Jeoseungsaja filling the doorway, Gimnoen carefully unrolled the ancient parchment. The script was faded but legible, a woman's elegant hand. It was a confession, written by Jeoseungsaja, a loyal court lady who had served a high-ranking official. She detailed a political conspiracy, a betrayal of the crown, and her discovery of it. She wrote of being confronted, then poisoned, her death staged as a suicide to silence her and cover the official's treachery. Her final words pleaded for the truth to be known, for her honor to be restored, and for the injustice to be avenged. As Gimnoen finished reading, the air vibrated with a palpable sorrow. He looked up, directly at the featureless face beneath the Jeoseungsaja's gas. The entity remained utterly still, but its presence pressed down on him with a crushing weight, a silent command more powerful than any spoken word. The task of revelation now fell to him, and he knew, with a horrifying certainty, that he could not refuse. The weight of the Jeoseungsaja's silent command propelled Gimnoen onto the road to Goryeo, the capital city. He clutched the parchment and the binyo, the physical proofs of Jeoseungsaja's injustice, against his chest. The journey was long and arduous, each step a battle against his own fear and the ever-present chill that seemed to follow him. One night, sheltering in a dilapidated shrine, a suffocating cold filled the air. He opened his eyes to see the Jeoseungsaja standing over him, its black robes impossibly dark against the faint moonlight filtering through the crumbling roof. But this time, another form stood beside it, a pale, ethereal woman in a white sobog, her unbound hair flowing around her. Jeoseungsaja, her eyes filled with profound sadness, met his. She raised a translucent hand, pointing towards the distant capital. Her silent plea was a physical ache in his soul, a demand for courage and justice. He knew then, truly, that he was no longer merely a tomb keeper, but an instrument of the dead's reckoning. And he dared not fail. Gimnoen, gaunt and worn, finally stood before the royal court in Goryeo. His voice, though trembling, gained strength as he recounted Jeoseungsaja's confession, presenting the scroll and the binyo. The court initially met his tale with skepticism, but the sheer weight of the evidence, coupled with the detailed accounts of political maneuvering, could not be dismissed. Investigations commenced. The powerful official name in Jeoseungsaja's confession was found to have indeed betrayed the crown. The truth, long buried, was unearthed. Jeoseungsaja's honor was formally restored. Her name cleared of the false accusation of suicide. As the verdict was delivered, a profound sense of peace, light and warm, washed over Gimnoen. The oppressive chill that had clung to him for weeks finally lifted. He felt exhausted, but strangely relieved, knowing his terrifying journey had not been in vain. The dead had found their voice, and through him, their justice. Gimnoen returned to Mireukneung, a changed man. The tomb was now truly silent, the air light and peaceful, infused with the scent of pine and fresh earth. No more whispers, no more lingering cold, no more looming shadows. Jeoseungsaja's spirit had found rest, her honor restored. The Jeoseungsaja had completed its duty, its inexorable force of justice satisfied. Gimnoen continued his solitary life as a tomb keeper, but his perception of the world had irrevocably shifted. He now understood that some injustices run so deep, some betrayals are so profound, that they reverberate through the veil between worlds, calling out for a reckoning. And sometimes the duty falls to the living to answer that call, to speak for those silenced, to uphold the dignity of the dead, for the sake of the living's own peace. The vast, empty chambers of Mireukneung, once a place of forgotten sorrow, now held a solemn, enduring lesson. The truth, like death, will always find its way to the light.